Aren't you glad you met us?
John doesn't like us.
Well, of course I like you.
You're crazy.
I think in the earlier drafts that we had done, we were trying to fit too much in. It was like very common in a biography to try and fit everything that happens in a person's life into the film.
You have tremendous strength. You'll go on to have a wonderful life, I can tell.
The book had many, many different chapters all about his life. I focused in on alcohol recovery in AA.
Keep going to meetings, read this book I'm giving you. Don't drink. If you think you're gonna drink, call me first, never after.
The key to understanding the scope of the story visually was John Callahan's source material, which of course is his book, his autobiography, and then use that information to kind of come up with a coherent timeline, and with that timeline create a visual narrative that kind of helps the audience along, because the storytelling is quite fractured.
They'd have to be blind not to see my hand shaking.
Yeah, I guess I'll just take that Tres Arborlis tequila.
Goodbye for now.
There were some scenes that we couldn't find in the book that actually had been written down in probably other drafts that existed as information about John Callahan, but you couldn't find him in the book, probably because he told us directly those stories. So sometimes we were looking for something that like we couldn't find, and we didn't know why we couldn't find it. And it's because John also helped. John was there for 2 whole drafts, and we would go out to lunch with him, and he would tell us whatever we wanted to know. We had a lot of information that was outside the book.
One of the objectives of group is to provoke a new awareness to unwanted or unnecessary emotional problems that we sit with.
John, we had photographs, we had a whole book by John. Donnie, nobody had ever met him. There wasn't a book about him. So nobody really knew anything about Donnie. He was like a completely original character.
Maybe you were weakened so you could become strong, Callahan. You ever think of it like that?
He at first notices him as a guy who's, as he said in the book, rocking like a Tom Petty look, which gave Jonah a lot of inspiration. He chose to play it as he had seen a friend who he thought of as very powerful. It was like somebody who had a lot of authority and power, but also spoke softly.
My day has been pretty good until I came in here and saw all of you. I usually play characters that are more unsettled inside, and Donnie, even with all he has going on, seemed to be at peace inside. We all have led in our non-sober periods somewhat chaotic lives. I was just like listening a lot to Gus because he knew John and he had heard a lot about Donnie. He didn't know Donnie, but John would talk about him all the time. So I just really listened and asked questions. And the book was like a really helpful resource. Drink water.
You too.
It doesn't work.
Is that a car crash?
Yeah.
It's like a dead guy under the car.
There's this cartoon sort of John's memory of the car crash. He would always describe it as they were going really fast down the road and they just kind of went off the road. So we copied his cartoon. It's that weird scene when it's like, truly an alcoholic. He's laying there and the first thing he asks the cop for is to go get him some more alcohol.
There's a $5 bill in my left shirt pocket. Go get me a short case.
We'd found this incredible bed that they had referenced a lot in the book and in the script. This circular bed that, they used. It was sort of archaic and kind of very painful.
He talks about wearing the Hawaiian shirt in the book. It's in the script.
I hear you're from Oregon.
That's right.
What do you guys do up there for fun?
Well, there's not a lot to do in Oregon, so a certain percentage of the population drives down here to Long Beach.
John Callahan, being a wonderful writer, he would often create these kind of vivid descriptions, and it was more important for me to reflect his worldview than it was to reflect reality as it was, because this is a movie about a man telling his own story.
You're a very special person.
You are such a pain in the ass, John.
You're right on schedule, sweetheart, and I'm glad you're here.